I would be using your needles more. Like, you go through the effort, like, you see how he rolls back and puts himself at this lovely distance?
Yeah.
Okay, so, like, when he rolls back like this is kind of a signal to me that that you can set up your needle wall really, really effectively to police him from coming in, because wrong color. It kind of controls this area, depending on how high you're willing to shoot, and which cuts into basically any frontal approach he wants to do. It also gives you a way of like earning stage back because he doesn't really want to interact with the needles because they stun him and lock him in place, which means he's not moving. Even if it doesn't true combo to a tilt at the height that you hit him from, he still doesn't like not being able to flexibly move around your options because a fox that's sitting still is going to get outranged by you or is under threat of being outranged by you. So that's something worth noting. You even kind of set it up, like, if you needle here, it cuts into him as he's coming forward, like, around here. You can even potentially risk him coming closer and do it like that. There is some threat that he'll jump around them like that and attack you, but with the distance you're at, that's not really that much of a problem. And also you're at low damage, so it's not likely to lead to much either. I'm trying to think of what other options we have here with this setup. Alternatively, you could not jump, but I think the jump is actually good here because you've kind of set it up and you have the distance for it. What do you think?
That all makes sense to me. I agree. I guess on the first jump, or the first opportunity to jump, I guess I didn't identify it because he seemed closer. I guess he was still in the process of rolling, so it actually was safe to jump. I just wasn't cognizant of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I do. Yeah, I probably do rely too much on just zoning with the fair rather than thinking about opportunities for needles.
Yeah, because it adds so much variety in this position. Because, like, this fair does very little for you because of how far he is when he's coming forward. Like, if you look at how your jump is lined up with him,
Yeah.
like, for this fair to hit, what has to happen? Like, you kind of have to move forward into his space, but I don't really like that play.
I am somewhat comfortable with undershooting fairs. Like I do like to play the game of like undershooting an aerial to entice them to come in further, and then like trying to play off of that with my own dash back. Uh,
That makes
but
sense.
I I can see how I might get a little over reliant on it in opportunities like this, and I start tunnel visioning.
Because I think that the fair is nice because it protects, like, this spacing. Like, it covers this area. But the needles add something by covering this kind of range. So they cover further in
Yeah.
front of you. So then using the two ranges together, plus your dash back, which moves you to, like, around this spot, that gives you a lot of depth in how you can control the space around you, which is probably what you need on a level like FD. Then when you add boost grabs and things like that, which threaten, like, further away, like around this spot, you wind
Yeah.
up being able to influence a much larger part of the map. Just from, like, having sheer... Because the way I always think about this matchup on big stages is that your breadth of threats, even though they're more punishable than his, they're competitive with his. Like, you have almost as many threats as he does. So if you're not using them at, like, all together, if you're not using a healthy mix of all of them, then it's too easy for him to play around them individually just because of how flexible he moves. And you kind of at some point want to be bullying him.
Okay. One question I have is, I don't think I have a full set of needles or like any needles at this point. One thing that would scare me is the reliability of the stun of a single needle, and depending how close he is to me when he gets hit relative to where I am, like can he still down tilt me
Uh,
something out of the needle hit stun?
he's not going to be able to counterattack you because needles have a really, really, really high hit stun relative to how much you think they might have. Um, The risk of him getting close, the way that this is going to pan out is... Okay, so he rolls back, you set up this jump. What's more likely to happen is you're going to hit him, you're going to stop his movement at like around, as he's getting to about this point, and he's going to be sitting still, and you won't be in a position where he can actually, like you'd probably hit him around here. And then Fox winds up being still around this spot. He's not going to be... Needles are about plus... Needles are on crouching opponents around +6, on standing opponents around +10. So he's not going to be able to counterattack you, but you also have to go through your landing animation, and because you probably hit him when you're airborne around here. So you still have to fall back to the ground. So you're not going to be counterattackable, but you're also not going to be able to probably directly convert that into something. The more important thing, though, is that you stop him from moving forward, and you force him to stand still for a second.
Okay.
At this range, where he is now, susceptible to things like dash attack. The fact that he's been hit might force him, can force him to defend himself, and you're not in range of down tilt either. So he has to recommit to running forward with an attack, or he has to defend.